What's up, guys? Welcome back to today's episode of The Sports Sermon. We are brought to you by Scooch, the most functional phone case on the market. Check out ScoochCase.com to get yours today and use the code SPORTS18, sports with a Z, of course, to get a 10% discount on your order. Stay tuned till the end for a special Scooch giveaway as well. But now, today's episode. So we're in here today to talk about the Denver Nuggets, but before we start, I want to make sure you know where to find the episodes. You can find them on Soundcloud, iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure you go check those out. It's at The Sports Sermon, sports with a Z. I'm Jason Gandhi. I am joined with Dan Majors and Dylan Staggy today to get into, like I said, the Denver Nuggets. They signed Isaiah Thomas. They drafted Michael Porter Jr., so definitely some big names with high risks of injuries. But let's get into it right now. Let's talk about the Nikola Jokic extension. He got a max extension before free agency even started. What did you guys think of it, and was he worth it?
I mean, I like the extension. You got to keep your best player, and the rookie extension isn't as big as like a regular max, like $40 million, $35, what some of these older guys are getting. Jokic is at $30 million, and he'll be getting that for the prime of his career. He's the biggest piece to the Nuggets' young core, so I really like the deal.
Yeah, I loved it too. I mean, Denver's in a really nice spot right now with a really nice young core, and Jokic is the centerpiece of it, so you have to keep that intact.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it too. You look at it, he's 23. He averaged 19, 10, and 7. He improved his points per game by at least 3 every single year, and he's the best player on the Nuggets. They had to pay him. He was a second-round pick, number 41 overall in 2014. I think that's awesome to see when these guys that were in the second round just come out and absolutely ball. You love to see that. And yeah, Dylan, you mentioned it, right? This year he's going to get paid 25. It goes up 2 every year, 25, 27, 29, 31, 33. 33 is a little steep, but assuming the salary cap continues to rise, that will not be a big deal when it does get to 2022 and 2023. But yeah, I mean, Nikola Jokic, definitely their best player. I think we all agree he had to get paid. My next question is where the question marks begin to come for these Denver Nuggets. They drafted Michael Porter Jr. with the 14th pick in the draft. They decided not to get a safer guy. They went with a boomer bust prospect and Michael Porter Jr. My question to you guys is, was he worth that pick if he doesn't play at all this season, and do you think he'll play this season?
I think he's definitely worth the pick. I mean, the NBA draft is so hard to hit on your picks, and Michael Porter Jr. is one of the most talented guys in the draft, even if not the most talented. At some points, he was rated as that. And the Nuggets are a deep team, so they don't really need him to play this season, and I think he might get on the court towards the end. I don't think he'll ever reach the caliber that he was expected to, but it's still definitely worth the risk for the Nuggets, as it's just so hard to hit on your picks.
You say you don't think he'll reach his ceiling. Why is that?
Yeah.
Just because of the injury. I think the back is a thing that could nag on him for a long time, and also he might just never get the opportunity to fulfill his potential with a young core like the Nuggets. Some pieces might overshadow him at first, and he'll never really get the same opportunity that guys like, say, Donovan Mitchell did, being the best scorer already on a young Jazz team.
That's interesting, because for me, I think if he's healthy, you move Will Barton to be a six-man, you move Garrett Harris to be a six-man, whichever one you want, and that's a heck of a six-man.
Yeah.
That's a six-man of the year, and you get to have MPJ play the 3. I'm surprised to hear you say that, because I think he's definitely have the opportunity if he's healthy. But
Yeah,
Dan, I'll let
definitely.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's no doubt worth the pick. I mean, he was one of the top talents in the draft before his injury, and there's no way he should have dropped to 14, in my opinion. I understand he might sit out a year, but guys have done that in the past, like Joel Embiid, and look how he turned out. That's a whole different situation, but there's a lot of similarities. A lot of these teams should have taken a chance because this draft had a clear drop-off after 5 or 6. Why not take one of the most talented players in the draft in MPJ? I just didn't understand the teams before it. So Nuggets got a great guy in MPJ. I don't think he will play, though, this season. They need to have patience if they want him to get back to the top-of-the-line talent that he was supposed to be.
I agree with you guys that he was worth the pick for the Nuggets. I disagree with you, Dan, that teams should have taken a flyer on him. For me, I think it makes sense for the Nuggets because of the way their team is set up. They are low-key very, very deep. You look at each position. They've got Jamal Murray and Isaiah Thomas at the 1, Gary Harris and Malik Beasley at the 2, Will Barton, Tyler Lydon at the 3, Paul Millsap and Nikola Jokic also have formidable backups as well. They don't need him this year, and it was a great time to take a flyer on a guy who might elevate him into championship conversation if he's the prospect that, Dan, I know you think he is. But you look at a team like, Dan, you think any team should take a flyer on him. You look at a team like the Cavs. If they draft this guy and never healthy,
I don't think he should have been at 8. I think he should have been at like. Cavs were at 8, right?
8 or 9. I mean, I'm just saying.
I think it should have been like 11 to, just 11 after that.
I think the Clippers should have. The Clippers and the Hornets.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm just saying because I thought like if you meant like lottery pick teams, I'm like they can't afford to. The Clippers, they probably could have been afforded because like, they're going to be fine either way. They're not going to be tanking. Like they don't have. Right. They still have good enough pieces to win some games. And I guess the Hornets. I mean, they're a playoff team, but also I don't know if they're a playoff team if Bridges doesn't go and MPJ doesn't play. But I mean, that's a whole different story.
Yeah, but you look at those guys that were taken in those spots that I just mentioned, those guys aren't going to be all-star level players. They'll be solid role players, solid starters, but MPJ could be an all-star at some point in his career.
But he also could never touch the court.
That's true.
But see, like for me, if I'm the Hornets, I don't think they're that far off from being a playoff team every year. Like you get a guy like Miles Bridges. I already said in the Hornets one, I think the Hornets are making the playoffs this year with Miles Bridges. I think he's a perfect fit for that team. So now if you don't have him, you take out Michael Porter Jr., is Kemba Walker, Michael K. Gilchrist, Nicholas Batum good enough? Now you basically lost that pick. You basically don't have that pick. You have to wait till next year to get another guy. I think, like for the Hornets specifically, I wouldn't have done it. Clippers, I guess I can justify more, so I think that's a decent fit. I mean, Dylan, I think that's more where you come into play. What do you think about the Clippers? Did you want them to take him? Did you think they should have taken him? What do you think?
I wouldn't have been mad at all if the Clippers took him, but I'm also fine with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jerome Robinson. I like both of those picks, and this was definitely an important draft for the Clippers to hit on. So.
If you were drafting, would you have taken Robinson or MPJ?
I probably would have taken MPJ just because of the superstar potential. But again, I'm not mad at Robinson at all. He has potential too, and he could be a great scorer.
For everyone that does not know, Dylan's a Clippers fan is why I threw that question to him. I just want to make that clear. But all right, let's go on to another guy the Nuggets signed that has some injury concerns, but could be a superstar. They signed Isaiah Thomas to a 1-year deal. My question is, did the Isaiah Thomas signing make sense to you, and does it change the expectations for the Nuggets? Also, within that, what are your expectations for the Nuggets in 2018-2019?
Yeah, I mean, he was really cheap, so I don't think it's bad if he fizzles out for the Nuggets. It was a 1-year deal, so you don't have to worry about his long-term health with the hip. I mean, it's definitely a low-risk, high-reward move, so I love it for the Nuggets. And this year, they're in a big group of those same teams that are going to be fighting for a playoff spot that were last year, that were all 3-9 in the West, that were all super close. You can throw the Lakers in there this year. I think they'll end up at about a 6 seed, but honestly, I wouldn't really be surprised anywhere from about 4 to 8.
4? Wow. Okay. Yeah, I like the signing, especially the value. Like, why not try out a 1-year, $2 million deal with a guy who has been a stud in the past in a specific role he plays? If they play him like he was used with the Celtics, then he could be pretty dangerous. For my expectations, playoffs. I mean, playoffs are just my expectations for the Nuggets. Jokic, Murray, and Harris should progress another year, and I think they should get to the playoffs as they were a win or two away from it last year. So,
yeah, for me, looking at the Isaiah Thomas signing, did it make sense? Yes, if he's willing to be a 6-man. That's what it comes down to. He's not better than Jamal Murray, especially if he's not healthy. And if he is, doesn't make sense to start him because he's on a 1-year deal. Jamal Murray should be, no question, the starter. The same reason when he went over to the Lakers that Lonzo Ball should have been the starter. There's no question. If he's willing to be a 6-man, this makes this team scary. I really like this team. If he can play at the level he was, even in Phoenix. I don't need him to be Boston Isaiah Thomas. Be the Phoenix Isaiah Thomas. Be the guy that can be a 6-man, come off the bench, and just score. That's what I want to see him do. I think he'll get back to better than what we've seen. Maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid and buying the player speak, but like everything he says is like my hip's not back to normal, and like for me, I kind of believe it. I think there is potential he gets back to a top point guard in this league. I'm not going to say MVP. I think he could be a top 15, top 12 point guard in this league. So you make him your 6-man. You give the Nuggets his team. That's where it goes into my expectations. I expect him to be a playoff team this year. If he plays at that level, I think he'll be in the conversation for 6-man of the year. My expectations before were if they make the playoffs. They should make the playoffs, but if not, I'm not saying blow this team up. I can't believe they didn't make the playoffs. Now the playoffs should be a definite. I don't know what seed. I don't care what seed. They have to get into the playoffs. And it's funny. We're doing the Northwest Division, and every single team in the division should make the playoffs. And every single team should have made the playoffs last year. The Nuggets were the 9 seed, and everyone else did. This division is the most average to good in the entire league. All 5 teams are good enough to make the playoffs, but also none of them are gonna. They're legit championship contenders. So that's kind of my expectation for them, and really this whole division is make the playoffs. Some teams that were there last year, I say, have to make it to the second round. For the Nuggets, just make the playoffs. If they do that, I think that's a good season. I don't know. I have a kind of a impromptu question just that I'm thinking about. Do you guys like Mike Malone as the coach? Do you think he needs to go? He's done fine as a coach, but do you like his style and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to keep him for now if you're the Nuggets. I mean, he's been developing this core for a little bit now, and I think he's a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I'm the same with Dylan right there.
Yeah.
No reason to really fire him right now.
I don't even know if it's like a fire. I don't think you're going to get fired pretty bad. I'm just like, is he the guy that can take this team to another level? Pardon me questions. I don't know. I think there are better coaches out there. I think he's fine. I don't know. I think this is a very interesting team to keep an eye on. I think they're going to be making a lot of headlines between Michael Porter Jr., Isaiah Thomas, and then, of course, the big Jokic extension, Gary Harris, Will Barton signing that big extension, all of that stuff. Any last thoughts on the Denver Nuggets? They have new jerseys. You guys see those?
Yeah. Pretty nice, actually.
Do you like them? You didn't see them there?
I saw the Grizzlies.
I didn't see the Grizzlies.
You didn't see the Grizzlies?
No.
I saw the Nuggets, but not the Grizzlies.
Check out the Nuggets. Yeah,
Grizzlies,
I don't
Nuggets.
really love them. Dylan, he said he does. That's interesting. Yeah, Dan, check them out. See your initial thoughts right now.
Initial
on the pod.
thoughts. Here we go. I think I did see those. Those aren't terrible. Nothing special.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the red color, but
why the red?
But the blues and the yellow I like.
I did not see Memphis's new jerseys.
They were alright.
I'm looking at them.
I think they're better than the Nuggets.
No, they do look different. But they don't look real different.
They said they changed their logo too. I don't see any difference in their logo.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, Dylan, you got anything left on the Nuggets?
The blue jerseys with the Mile High City kind of look like the Pacers, honestly.
Yeah, they do.
Kind of in a circle around the number.
I can see it a little bit. I feel like I did say that actually when they first came out. Yeah, jerseys are looking good. Team's looking good. It should be a heck of a season. We've gotten to this point in the episode where I need to talk about Scooch. Scooch, there is a 15% discount. I'm changing it from 10 to 15%. If you go to scoochcase.com, use the code SPORTS18, sports with a Z, and then this is the giveaway I was talking about. If you comment and subscribe before the end of August, you will be entered for a free Scooch case. We are giving out our Scooch case tonight on who won from the month of July. August, new month. We want to see you guys get in that comment box, get in the subscriptions, and you will be entered to win. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys on the flip.